Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All That Yazz broadcast. It's a beautiful day in the DMV area, and today we're very fortunate to have a friend of mine who actually used to be my neighbor, Patrick Rathbone, who runs the Big Cheese Truck. Patrick, welcome. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
I have a mobile food vending business. I'd like to call it mobile food vending more than a food truck. It started as a food truck, but it has expanded to 10 operations, mobile food vending catering operation since 2010.
Before you got started with the cheese, you actually had an affinity for the restaurant business. You understood food, you understood catering.
Right. I was a restaurant manager for many years before starting the truck, with the goal of eventually starting my own restaurant. And then in 2010, when the first couple of food trucks popped up in DC, I was like, oh, that's a lower barrier to entry startup cost wise. I could probably make that happen. So I started, incorporated in October 2010, and in December of 2010, our first spot was Roslyn, because it was right next to where we lived. And so, yeah, as part of that first wave of food trucks, there's probably about 10 or 12 trucks on the road when I hit the road. I had originally wanted to do pizza, but there was already a pizza truck on the road. And I was like, well, there's already pizza. There's only 10 trucks. I should probably do something different. So I went with grilled cheese, and it's been going strong ever since.
Now, you mentioned going into the mobile food vending industry, so the trucks. What does it take to get started with a food truck?
Well, there's so many, especially in this area, there's so many jurisdictions. You need to figure out where you're going to operate. So at one point I was licensed in Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, and DC. In each one of those, there's, health department licenses, business licenses, fire department licenses, lots of paperwork to get started. But once you get going, I have to keep a spreadsheet to keep all those straight when what needs to be renewed.
Inside the food truck, do you have to keep the air conditioner running? Do you have to have a kitchenette?
Some trucks do have air conditioners. So you have your service window and your grill and a fan. An air conditioner would blow a little bit of cool air, but for the most part, an air conditioner is not going to do much in that space because you have a service window where you're taking orders and handing out food. And then you have a fan over your grill kicking out, the heat there. So the best you can do in a food truck as far as keeping it cool is getting a nice cross breeze. So, open the front window, keep the back door closed, have like the fan on, get like a breeze going. But in the wintertime, on the other hand, you close up all the windows and just keep enough space to hand out food, and it stays fairly warm inside as well, no matter how cold it is.
What about parking? Like, do the vendors have to work something out? How does that work?
So in DC, there are specific parking places that are designated for food trucks. And there's a lottery for that. I have stopped vending in DC a couple years ago just because it was overrun with trucks. In Arlington and the other jurisdictions, there's, you can park on private property. There's certain areas that are designated food truck areas, and each jurisdiction has a different restriction on food trucks can park here or there or wherever. I have gotten away from the street vending I had for all of the craziness in the world. I'd gotten away from street vending, and I was doing mostly catering and lots of events, lots of weddings, lots of graduation parties, lots of PTA events, that kind of thing. In addition to beer festivals, wine festivals, music festivals, the large gatherings was where I was focusing my business. And so that's probably gone away first and will be the last to come back. So now I have pivoted, and now I'm mostly focusing on high density residential, working with HOAs and property managers for condos and apartment complexes, and just finding places where there's people working from home, and have emails sent out to everybody so that they know that we're there.
Yeah. Now, you make your cheese sandwiches on the spot, right? So how does that work?
We pre-make our sandwiches, and we wrap them up in bundles of 20. They're already pre-buttered, and all the ingredients are all together, and they're just triple wrapped in plastic wrap. And so when you get an order in, we just throw it on the grill and it's ready to cook. So you're not making and assembling. And when we were doing high volume events, basically that's how it needs to be done. everything kind of needs to be assembled and you're just cooking to order.
Now, your cheese sandwiches are not the average cheese sandwich that you might find. I remember when you used to live here, you used to invite people over and we'd be able to sample some of the cheeses. I remember the first time that I ever tried Midnight Moon, that was because of you. And I also remember Wensleydale. So the Wensleydale with cranberry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I haven't used the Wensleydale in a while. The Midnight Moon is it's my winter Gouda. So I rotate about 25 sandwiches throughout the year. So it's a lot there's several that are on the menu year round. The thrilled cheese is chipotle cheddar, pickled jalapeno guacamole. That's almost all year round. And the Mount Fuji, which is Camembert with apple and honey. That one's year round. The winter Gouda is Midnight Moon, and that's a goat milk Gouda with caramelized onion. And then the summer Gouda, it's called the Peach and Chong, and it's smoked Gouda with peach chutney. So it's got a little spicy sweetness with the chutney and some smokiness with it. It's like a grilled cheese barbecue sandwich without the barbecue. And then year round, we also do a rotate cheddars. So the winter cheddar is Barely Buzzed, which is my 5-year-old daughter's favorite cheese. It's a coffee and lavender infused cheddar. It's from the Beehive Cheese Company in Utah. It comes in a 20-pound wheel, and it's rubbed with coffee and lavender on the outside. In the spring, we do Kerry Gold, which is a Irish cheddar. We do that kind of for St. Patrick's Day. Summer is Shelburne Farms. That's a 6-month aged cheddar. Shelburne Farms is a historical working farm on Lake Champlain in Vermont, and they do like sustainable farming education and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not your average cheese. When people say, they ask if we have American cheese, I tell them we have a lot of domestic cheeses. We use Kraft with a C, not a K, cheese.
Mm.
So
how do you come out with the recipes? Like, do you tinker and then do you have like a focus group where people can show? I'm not hinting that I'm going to come over and try all of your sandwiches, but how do you know what the success rate is likely to be? How do you anticipate that?
I've had employees, like thrilled cheese was developed by a couple of my employees back in 2012, and they were like messing around in the kitchen. They're like, this would be really good, and we made it, and it's been a hit. Certain things like the Peach and Chong, one of the music festivals we do is Bonnaroo in Tennessee. And it's kind of like it's a southern state. So we were like, oh, we should do something with peaches because it's right next to Georgia as well. So just tinkering around, we came up with the smoked Gouda with peach chutney. It was one of those kind of looking for something that would be a hit for a specific audience. February for Valentine's Day, we'll do Chev with Nutella for chocolate and kind of deliciousness for Valentine's Day. In the spring, we do Chev with black cherry preserves for cherry blossom season. We call it cherry blossom, and that was kind of developed because, hey, it's cherry. We need something for the season of cherry blossom season. And then we'll do Chev with blueberry compote for 4th of July because blueberries cookouts, and we call it bread white and blue for July. So
it's so good because you're taking us through the year and you're reflecting the seasons, and then what else comes along, and you're just keeping it new and interesting the whole time. So these days, if people needed to find you and get some of the cheese sandwiches, what do they do? Do they go to your website? What's the business plan?
So bigcheese.com, or I'm sorry, bigcheesetruck.com has our, there's a calendar page that has all of our locations on there, and there's a contact us so you can reach out and, book us for events or request us to come to your neighborhood. We're The Big Cheese on Facebook, at Big Cheese Truck on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, if anybody wants to have us come out to their neighborhood, we're getting contacted by HOAs and apartment complexes, all the time now because people are stuck at home and working from home. So, that's what we're booking. They can reach out and say, hey, we want you to come here. And then we can arrange a date to come out and set up in their neighborhood. As far as the social distancing, we do have online ordering now, and we do a lot of that when we're going to apartment buildings where we send out information where they can just order from their house and pay online, and then they just come and pick up at the truck. So that keeps the crowds down.
Yeah, and contactless as possible.
Yes, exactly. I put it on the counter, they take it. Credit card reader is mounted on the outside of the truck so they can just swipe the card without maybe touching it or anything like that. So
wonderful. Well, there you have it, folks. The Big Cheese with Patrick Rathbone. Please follow him on his social media and check out his website for all of the locations that he will be. If you live in an HOA, please support local by supporting the Big Cheese. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Bye.